What's going on, Aurora Lions? Welcome back to a brand new Star Wars Battlefront weapon comparison related video. Now in this video I'm going to be comparing the two weapons that have arrived in the Death Star DLC pack, the K-16 Bryor pistol and the TL-50 heavy repeater. So first of all I'm going to be going over my experiences with both of these weapons, and then I'm going to be going over the in-depth stats of the two weapons and which one performs better on which stat. So to start off with, the K-16 Bryor pistol. I've found this weapon to be a really cool weapon to look at, and the concept of it is absolutely brilliant. The fact that it has a secondary fire the same as it has a primary fire, but in all fairness, I don't think this weapon is that powerful at the moment. DLC weapons previously tended to be the most powerful weapons in the game, and at the moment the K-16 Bryor pistol isn't one of those extremely powerful weapons which I would normally recommend using. I've heard that it's going to be having a buff in the patch that is coming out soon. It may have already happened, but I haven't really noticed too much of a difference with it. So I am hoping that the buff hasn't actually arrived yet, otherwise this weapon has been kind of a letdown for me. At close range it works pretty similar to any other pistol, but it feels like it has less damage. I've never been a blaster pistol type of player anyway. I tend to go for the automatic or semi-automatic assault blasters. So the K-16 really isn't in my favour anyway, being that it is a blaster pistol. Whereas with the TL-50 heavy repeater, I found this weapon to be absolutely brilliant at close and medium range, but at long range I don't find it that accurate. The secondary fire is great at long range as long as you can control the drop that it actually has, but even at close range the secondary fire works extremely well. And that is something that these two weapons have in common. The secondary fire modes where you have to charge up a blast both work extremely well, but it's their primary fire which tends to be a letdown for the K-16, but not as much for the TL-50, like I said, as long as it is at close to medium range. At long range it tends to be harder to control with the recoil and the spread of the weapon, but that tends to be the same with all heavy blasters in Star Wars Battlefront. They're good for medium to close range, but at long range they're not as good unless you can control the fire really well. So given these two weapons, I tend to go with the TL-50 heavy repeater out of any of them, because it tends to fit my playstyle more. Like I said, I go for semi-automatic assault blasters or fully automatic blasters in general. And this TL-50, although it is a heavy blaster, it tends to feel like an assault blaster. I don't know what you guys think, so let me know down in the comment section below which one you would choose out of these two weapons, but I would go with the TL-50 heavy repeater. So right now I'm going to be going over the advantages of the K-16 Bryor pistol, which apparently does have a much more max damage of 25, where the TL-50 tends to only have a max damage of 15. The K-16 does 67% damage more at close range than the TL-50. And the damage drop-off starts a lot further for the K-16 Bryor pistol than it does for the TL-50. The damage drop-off for the K-16 is 25 meters, whereas the TL-50 damage drop-off is at 10 meters, which means the K-16's damage drop-off starts 150% further. Now that is a lot, which backs up how I feel about the TL-50. At longer ranges, it doesn't tend to do as well. The K-16 also has significantly less spread when aiming down sight and not moving, and when aiming down sight and moving. The K-16 spread is 0.1, where the TL-50 is 0.5, so the K-16 has 80% lower ADS base spread when not moving and when moving. It also has less spread from the hip when standing, crouching, not moving, and when standing, crouching, moving, of 0.1, and again the TL-50 spread is 0.5, which means the K-16 has an 80% lower hip base spread for when you are crouched, stood up, moving and not moving. The advantages of the TL-50 are that it does a little bit more minimum damage at long range. The TL-50 does 13 minimum damage at long range, and the K-16 only does 12 minimum damage at long range, which means the TL-50 does 8% more damage at longer ranges. The damage drop off also ends a lot further for the TL-50 of 50 meters, where the K-16 has a 40 meters damage drop off end, which means the TL-50's damage drop off ends 25% further. The TL-50 also has a much higher fire rate, probably due to the fact it is a fully automatic blaster. The TL-50 fires 700 rounds per minute, where the K-16 only fires 240 rounds per minute, which means the TL-50 fires 192% faster. It can also fire a lot more shots before overheating. The TL-50 can fire 39 shots before overheating, and the K-16 can only fire 10 shots before overheating. Which means the TL-50 can fire 290% more shots before overheating, and it also has way less heat per shot. The TL-50 has 0.026 heat per shot, where the K-16 has 0.1. The TL-50 obviously heats 74% slower than the K-16. Onto recoil, and the TL-50 has significantly less upwards recoil of 0.1 compared to the K-16 0.5 upwards recoil. The TL-50 has 80% less upwards kick. It also has a faster recoil decrease of 10, where the K-16 only has a 7 recoil decrease. The TL-50 recovers 43% faster from recoil, and it also has significantly less spread increase per shot of 0.025 compared to the K-16 0.2, which means the spread increases 88% less on the TL-50 when shooting. They both do share some equal statistics. For instance, the K-16 and the TL-50 share the same maximum distance of 1,500 meters, and they also have the same cooldown rate of 1 heat per second, the same muzzle velocity of 500 meters per second, and the same first shot recoil multiplier of 1. From this, there are a lot of advantages for each weapon that came with the Death Star DLC, but for me, still, I feel like the TL-50 overall performs a lot better than the K-16. But it could be because I prefer assault blasters and heavy blasters than I do blaster pistols. Blaster pistols tend to only be good for me in game modes like Blast, Droid Run and Drop Zone, whereas I feel like assault blasters and heavy blasters can be used in a variety of situations, and especially with the TL-50 having a charged shot which does cause a lot of damage, it can really help at close range and on smaller game modes like Blast, Drop Zone and Droid Run. But saying that, the K-16 also has that charged shot. So it really depends on your playstyle which one of these weapons you perform best with. Smash a like on the video if you have enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe to join the Aurora Alliance and be kept up to date with all things Star Wars. Other than that, may the Force be with you.